Hi everyone, welcome to the next Diecast page. Today I'll be showing you and reviewing this 1/18 scale Bugatti Chiron made by Bugatti. This model is actually sold by both Maisto and Bugatti, but it's the same model underneath both names. There's no difference in terms of quality and whatnot. I got this from Sam's Club, so it was sold as a Maisto model, but as you can see, it's made by Bugatti, as the bottom shows. You can find it in this cool looking orange with a dark gray, as well as another version that's blue with like a darker blue rear portion and a red with a black rear portion. And those both come with chrome wheels as opposed to this one which has the black wheels. And Bugatti also recently released the 42 seconds edition of this car in their 1/18 scale line. That one comes in black and it has kind of blue accents throughout. Like this whole C shape here on that model, it's done in silver, or I'm sorry, it's done in blue. And the wheels are blue and the interior is blue. And it has a 42 written on the grille. That one goes for a little bit higher price, I think around like $45, because it is a limited edition. So that accounts for the price. But this one you can find from anywhere between like $15 and like $40, depending on which site you get it from, or wholesale club store. So without further delay, let's get to the review. We'll begin up here with the front. We'll take a look at the lights. The lights are actually very well done on this model. Bugatti actually did the LED bulbs in this like kind of chrome, and it looks like they're turned on, especially like from a distance and like when the sunlight hits it, which I think is a really cool effect. The lenses are nicely done as well. There's no gap to be seen between the plastic lens and where the metalwork kind of surrounds the light, which is nice to see. A lot of other Bugatti models, they have like loose lenses and pegs and stuff in them. All the grills in the front of the model, they aren't actual grills, like they aren't perforated, but they do have at least like a mesh texture to them. This grill surround here, the other versions of the model, they're done in chrome, but this one they chose to paint it to match the dark gray portion of the car, which I think looks really cool. This logo here, or badge, is not a separate piece, but it is three-dimensional looking at least, and it looks pretty good. Moving along to the side, the wheels look really cool, especially with the black. The brake disc does spin with the caliper, and the brake disc does have some nice detailing on it. The caliper has the word Bugatti written on it in white lettering, which is a nice touch. There's no suspension, and the steering really... And the steering is not good. Like when you steer it, the wheel doesn't even stay in place. And most new Bburago models have that problem. So they either should fix the steering or they should just not put it in there at all. Because you can't even like display it with the wheels turned because it just doesn't work well, which is kind of disappointing. Back here, there's a nice carbon fiber texture with the plastic as well as in the windshield reservoir, which is a nice touch. The paintwork on this model is pretty much flawless. The metallic gray looks amazing, especially in like the sunlight. The orange part, it's not metallic, but it does look pretty well applied. Like there's no like thin space, like thin areas or areas that have like the orange peel effect, which looks pretty good. The mirrors are nice and sturdy. They are plastic, but they're nice and sturdy. So if you give it to a kid, they won't be able to break it off that easily. The rear portion of the model, the Bugatti logo back here is actually just painted onto like the rough carbon fiber texture, which looks a bit awkward. I kind of wish they did either like a separate badge or they just did like a flat kind of like paint on it. This whole taillight, I think, it looks like it's done in one whole piece, and they look pretty good. There's no peg or anything to be seen there. The exhaust pipes are painted silver. They aren't chrome, which looks better. Because in a lot of the cases, Bugatti and Maisto, they'll put in chrome exhaust pipes that just don't look that realistic compared to just silver pipes. Back here, there's also grills on either side of the license plate. They're not perforated either. They're solid, but at least they made the effort and put them in there, which is nice to see. The engine cover is not open. I don't think you can open on the real car unless like a Bugatti technician opens it when they work on it. But what you can see of the engine does look pretty good. It says W16 on the left side and 1500 on the right side, and both sides have the Bugatti symbol on them, which is nice to see. If you tilt it up a bit, you can see there's the windshield, or I'm sorry, the rear window back there too. A cool feature that you do get on the model, however, is this working rear spoiler. You can adjust the height and everything, and it really does add to the look of the car, especially when you put it on display at an angle like this. I'll just pan around a bit so you can kind of get a look at it. and you can adjust the height, like lower it a little bit, have it go come completely down. It is a little bit, it doesn't really fit too flush on the one side, but if you push it down, it looks a little bit better. But I'm glad that they included the working spoiler. That is a nice touch. The front the front luggage compartment does open. We'll take a look at that. It doesn't open up too far though, so it's hard to see. Not much to see in there. It's not carpeted or anything, but they do at least put in like the right shape of the trunk piece and everything. And then this closes nice and smooth. The gaps actually aren't that big. A lot of times they'll have like big gaps where like the hood closes on these models, but this one it doesn't have that, which is nice to see. The doors do open, but they don't open that wide, which is a bit of a hassle. I wish they opened up kind of a little bit wider. But the detailing on the door panels does look pretty good. They added that carbon fiber texture to the black portion. There's kind of a nice like leather pattern to the beige portion, which looks pretty good. And the door handles are painted in silver. You can see the same thing goes for the other door panel. Interior detail is actually pretty generous. The dashboard, you can actually see the leather pattern on it. And the seats kind of have that same texture to them as well. They put the word Chiron right there in red lettering. I think it's the same on the red version of the model. And it does say Chiron on the headrests too. On the blue version, I think it has it in blue, but on this one it has it in red. And Bburago did put in the seat belts too. They aren't really that well detailed, but like at least they're there. The carbon fiber texture on the center stack there looks pretty good as well. And the buttons, there's like 4 buttons or knobs in the middle there. They are painted, which is another nice touch to it. The steering wheel looks really good. They put in the carbon fiber texture and the leather pattern. They detailed the buttons for the paddles and like the air controls and all that. The pedals, it's kind of hard to see at this angle, but they are painted silver to kind of simulate that brushed aluminum look. And surprisingly, there's actually a headliner. Instead of leaving the roof as bare metal, Bburago put in a headliner, which is nice to see. A lot of times they'll just leave the inside as like a bare metal surface, but they went the extra step with this interior, which I'm very glad to see. The undercarriage you already saw, nothing really to see, aside from like the carbon fiber texture that they put on the bottom. See, overall, I would say that this is a pretty solid effort from Bburago, especially if you compare it to their other recent offerings. Detailing could be a little bit better in some areas. The overall fit and finish, I would say, is pretty solid. There's just some like mechanical problems, like the steering isn't that effective and there's no suspension, and like the angle at which the parts open isn't that great. But for $15, this is an especially great deal. And even for like $30 or $35, I would say that this is well worth the price, especially if you want to add a Bugatti to your collection but don't want to be spending too much money. I would highly recommend purchasing this. So thank you for watching, and I hope that this helps phase your opinion on this model. Thank you.